Hey there, welcome to day 2136 of What You Up To Now. As I'm spitting, documenting the journey as I originally transitioned from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. And with the pandemic and everything, back and forth again, I realized I always intuitively believed it once the internet came into play that having both an offline and an online presence is critical for our businesses. And especially since the pandemic, more than ever, I am 100% convinced that it is imperative that we have both an online and offline presence, no matter what it is that we do. Uh, so today our topic, and I share a couple of pieces of content every day since I've come online, not since I've come online, but since 2018, late 2017, early 2018, all of 2018, showed up every day to share video content. Why? Number one, because I was scared to death of doing it, right? I was petrified, just like everybody else that ever does their first online videos, your first speech, your first public speaking thing. It's really, really scary. And we find ways to overcome that, stretch our comfort zone and make it possible. And mine was, all right, I'm going to do it every day. Some days are going to be terrible. Some days are going to be better. But I noticed this morning, I still, in my brain, the first thought I have after I turn off the video player is, that was terrible, or I could have said this, or I could have done that better. I'm always critiquing. And so I need to start working on getting rid of that little negative voice in my head that still, after 7,000, nearly 8,000 videos, still pops up. And I say it. I mean, why am I still doing that? That's one of those personal improvement areas that I'm going to work on this year. So today we're talking about, as part of the Get Your Goals Annual Challenge, day 336 already today, it was getting back on track. What do you do? How do you go about getting back on track when you slip off of your trajectory or your plan or your projections toward achieving a goal or objective? And we're getting toward the end of the year. So this month we want to really focus on that. Last month we did a little review of where we're at for each of the different areas and aspects of our life, according to the 9-part life framework that I use and I teach and I share with everybody, to try to take some of the craziness and chaos and complication out of our lives and simplify it by breaking it down into category. And so we set our goals and objectives using our 7-step goal process. And I just talked about, we might need to add another step as part of our preparing to look at a goal and objective. And once we have that goal and we tell ourselves our current and our desired story, maybe we have to spend a little time as part of a step saying, okay, well, what could possibly go wrong and what could impact us when it comes to achieving this goal and objective? I think that that's probably a powerful exercise that we left out of our process. We consider it when we're considering breaking it down into steps and options and things and action plans. But I think we cover it better in the SOAP framework, where we brainstorm the options and then we choose among options by analyzing those alternatives and those options before we choose one to take action on. But that's every time we have a setback, an obstacle, a problem, a challenge, etc., we use that process. So shared about 20 ways that we can go about getting back on track, pulling ourselves back on track. And then our idiom for Supersize Your Business today was getting back on track. How do you get back on track? Because back on track is actually an idiom when it comes to growing and building and supersizing your business. Because guess what? If we think our lives are complicated, growing and building and supersizing a business and putting ourselves out into the world opens us up to a whole lot of other stuff that's outside of our control and can cause us to get off track as we're setting goals and objectives for our business, just like we do for our personal lives. And usually part of our goals and objectives, if we have a business, is under financial relationships. We have aspects of our business and growing that in our personal goals. At least I do. So I talked about and asked, how do you do that? How do you personally get your business and yourself back on track when you notice that you've gotten a little bit askew or off track? I know when I first came online, here's a good example of this. I had an intention when I first came online, what I was going to do, what I wanted to do. And like so many others, it is a whole new world based on, in the online world versus what I was used to growing up and building my businesses initially in the offline world. There is so much more access to information that you get inundated and pulled down all these different rabbit holes and roads that often are not right for you at the time you get pulled down them. At least that's what happened to me. I was learning all about things that I was never, ever going to do. And it wasn't until chatbots came out that I was like, all right, I want one, but I'm going to hire somebody to do this for me because I am not going to learn all about chatbots. That's not going to be my thing. And that it took me till they came out to say no to myself and say, no, you're not going to go down all these rabbit holes. So there's things that can get us off track really easily all the time. But that was one of the biggest things, and the biggest things I had to do was stop following other people and modeling them and picking and really getting clear with respect to social media and online courses and business and trainings and things and gurus and things, because there was so much access to that information versus the olden days when you really had to go to the library. If you wanted to learn something, you had to get in your car, drive to the library. My favorite is the Hill Reference Library in St. Paul, Minnesota. I would go there and I would spend hours and hours going through periodicals that you really didn't have access to anywhere else, and to books and resources that were just incredible. But now it's all online. It's all on the internet. So if anybody says they don't know how to do something or they can't figure it out, they're not even looking, because you can Google or Bing or what's the other one, DuckDuckGo or whatever, to find out anything you want, except for the filtering of the course, the monitoring of social media. There's still a lot of information out there. There's really never an excuse to say, I don't know how. Or I'd much rather have somebody come to me and say, I don't know which option to choose because there are so many possibilities and so many options out there for me. How do I know the best thing for me to do right now? That's a much better approach than I don't know how. Because usually if you say, I don't know, it's because you haven't even looked or tried to figure it out, right? And I think it's an automatic go-to for people nowadays, because usually if you just say, I don't know, or I don't know what I want, people leave you alone. But some of us don't. Some of us push to say, okay, well, if you don't know what you want, how are you going to ever get it? And the quickest, easiest way to figure out what you want is just to start listing the things that you don't want, because usually what you want is the opposite of what you don't want and the opposite of what's going on in a certain area of your life right now. So you just say, okay, if I don't want these things, then write down the opposite. This is what I want. And then start focusing on the wants, not on what you don't want. Because either way, whatever you think about, you're going to get in your life. I didn't make that up. It's called the law of attraction. It's called, it's a universal law. It works for everybody, no matter who you are. So that's why it's critical that we focus on what we want. I am definitely getting off topic today. If I can help you in any way, hit me up and ask. Saturday in my neck of the woods. So it's always a fun, spend time with the family, get caught up, work on other projects, work on passion projects and things. I'm writing a book. I'm always writing a book. But if I can help you anyway, just hit me up and ask. Otherwise, have a fantastic day. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow just to let you know what's working, what's not working for me, and what may or may not work for you. Have a great day.